You're listening to Bush Radio. Bush Radio.
Your real talk radio.
Reading is feeding the mind. When he feeds his mind, his body is happy and he is rich. Feed the mind. Go to www.udarabooks.com. Udara Books, feeding the mind.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
Igangan cannot sleep, and herdsmen reign. Igangan cannot go to farm, and bandits kill and kidnap the people. It is troubling time in Igangan. What can Seye Makinde do? Why Fulani? Is it about Fulani? What about Amotekun? Is the leopard ready for the task? Seriki Fulani of your state, Alh Saliu Abdulkabir, is on state affairs. Is it true that he intimidates the traditional rulers in Igangan?
Lord, now, how?
How is he intimidating them?
Does he give them cows?
When say man fún wọn ní màálù, say man fún wọn lọ́balọ́ba ní màálù.
Lọ́nà o.
Wọ́n say man fún wọn ní màálù.
Èmi ò lè sọ pé ènìyàn báyìí ni mo ti fún màálù ní lọ́balọ́ba o.
He said he doesn't give cows to
anybody.
To traditional rulers.
Let me welcome to the program the Director General of the Development Agenda for Western Nigeria, Seye, Oyeleye. It's good to have you on State Affairs.
Good morning, Edmund. Thanks for having me here.
You are following the story?
Absolutely, with keen interest.
What does it sound like?
Well, it sounds familiar. The herdsmen farmers crisis. It started from the north. Unfortunately, it has filtered down into the southwest, particularly in the Okiogun community. No, and not just Okiogun. And I was listening with rapt attention when you asked a particular pointed question that, is the Seriki happy with cows destroying farmlands? And that is a major issue. The reason we are having these major clashes all the time is there's no way I want to go to my farm with all my sweats and I plant and I turn up one morning and someone who is also in the agric industry, because cattle is another aspect of agriculture, you then come in and destroy my farm. Obviously, it's a major economic loss for me. At some point, if the government is not doing anything, I'll be forced into what I'll call self-defense. So the genesis of this crisis, or what you can then call the clashes between the herdsmen and the farmers, is at a certain time, the farmers, particularly in the southwest, felt a bit helpless that nothing was being done. And they got to a stage where they said, if you're not going to help me, I'll probably have to help myself. So it got to a stage where some were taking laws into their hands. But luckily, we are not living in a state of nature. We are living in a state where there are laws. And the governments in the southwest, in particular, felt, look, we cannot be encouraging our people to go and farm if, at the end of the day, half of what they are planting Even in some cases, more than half. It's destroyed. We now have to find a solution. Part of the solution, and I'm saying part of the solution, is when they told themselves that, look, we're going to have our own, in this region, security network. It's part of the solution to that. But I'm sure we'll still get there. But it's something that has to be solved. And we say it, I might be jumping the gun here, that at some point, Nigeria must be ready to move away from grazing. And you asked that question as well. That's in the modern day that we live in, a lot of countries, they don't graze. Cattle don't travel hundreds of miles or kilometers. That's why we have ranches. Now, the Seriki has said there's an issue of, we don't have land where to graze. I'm sure that one can easily be addressed at some point.
Okay, let's come back to the Seriki.
Yeah.
You don't have land to graze your cattle. Is that a point you are making? That you cannot have a ranch at this point?
Wọ́n ní ṣé nǹkan tẹ́ sọ ní pé ẹ ní ilẹ̀ tẹ́ lè lò láti kó àwọn màálù yín sí pé wọ́n fún yín nílẹ̀ láti kò sílẹ̀ tẹ́ lè lò.
Kò sílẹ̀.
What did he say?
Kò sílẹ̀ tá a lè lò. Kò sẹ́ni tá a pè kó fún wa nílẹ̀ tí ó fún wa.
I didn't get that point. What did he say?
They don't have that land that could be used for ranches.
They don't have the land. Have they applied for land? Because he came with some document. The document he showed me is a document of Oyo State government granting him access to land.
Ilẹ̀ tí wọ́n fún wa ń bẹ̀ ni náà wọ́n ní ká máa gbé bẹ̀ ni. Ṣùgbọ́n síbẹ̀síbẹ̀ àwa àti àwọn Yorùbá tó wà ń bẹ̀ náà là ń jọ ń gbé bẹ̀. Àwọn ni wọ́n ń dáko síbẹ̀ jù.
He said
wọ́n tún kọ́lé síbẹ̀ pẹ̀lú.
He said the land granted to them by the state government as a great reserve. They were living there for them to live. But still, some Yoruba people are still encroaching, farming on it, and even building houses on it.
So are there attempts by the Fulanis to take the lands back?
Àwọn gbégbèsè kò sẹ́ni tá a sọ fún pé ọ̀gbọ́dọ̀ dákú rẹ̀ ń bẹ̀.
Kí ló dé tẹ̀ gbégbèsè?
Nígbà tó jẹ́ pé ìjọba ló ní ìjọba mínísírì agiriki ń bí ó sì mà nípa wa ó mà nípa àwọn àgbẹ̀ náà tí wọ́n ń gbé bẹ̀.
He said they did not make any attempt to drive them away because the land was granted to them by the Ministry of Agric. And the people, officials know that they are there, and they know that Yoruba people are also there. So they decided just to let it be.
DG, you heard the Seriki.
Yeah.
How do you interpret that?
You see, when it comes to the issue of land, we know that land is vested in the governments in this country. And when we start talking about ranching, obviously we know you need a lot of land to ranch. And what I expect anyone, whether you are Igbo, Fulani, Yoruba, that wants to engage in the business of cattle, what we will be expecting is approach the government that I need XYZ amount of land to ranch my cows. Now, I'm not sure that if you put forward an economic case that what I want to do is cattle ranching and I need XYZ amount of land, the state will say no, that you are Fulani or Igbo will not preclude you or stop you from getting that land from the state. But one thing must be mentioned, and you see, it's because one of the things we've done very well in Nigeria over the last 60 years is that we like to run away from the truth. And we've done that very well as a country. You see, you cannot remove the fact that there might be that underlying fear from some communities that assuming I release 100 hectares of land to a particular group for ranching or for any purpose for that matter, what stops them in a few years down the road starting a community that will then attempt to take over my indigenous community? That nagging fear is there. So when you find some communities saying, I don't want to give my land to a particular ethnic group or to a group for this, it is because of the mistrust we have for each other as a people.
And that makes that group aggressive.
Yeah, it depends on which side of the coin you're looking at. If, as I said, if I have land in my community, and you want to use it for a particular purpose, if I look at your antecedents in the past, and I've seen what you've done in the past, and I'm thinking, do I actually want to put, as we say in Yoruba land, do I want to put fire in my roof and be sleeping on the bed? I would have to consider so many factors even before I release my land for your ranching business.
In this case, the Fulani is becoming an endangered species. Everybody suspects them.
Well, I won't say that's fair to stigmatize a particular ethnic group. You see, one of the things I say, might sound controversial, is at the height of kidnapping in Southwest, it became a fad to say, oh, the Fulani have kidnapped. And I will say that were you there, and when they kidnapped them and you saw them speak Fulani, kidnapping is a major issue in Nigeria. All tribes have their own kidnappers. So it is wrong, and I say that openly anywhere, that it is wrong to stigmatize an ethnic group, that they are the ones that are kidnapping. We've had instances of when the kidnappers were apprehended and they were unveiled, you realize that they had nothing to do with the Fulani people.
Because the information I'm even getting from Igangan is that some advocates group are accusing him of even recruiting Yoruba sons as kidnappers.
There you are. So that's why I'm saying that we shouldn't just blanket. And in fact, that's not fair. I am for an equitable Nigeria where you are able to operate any part of the country as a Nigerian. So it is wrong to just isolate an ethnic group and say, oh, Fulani kidnappers. I won't subscribe to that, and I think it's wrong.
Before we release this Seriki, let's listen to the story of this farmer. Seriki, I want you to listen to him and respond.
Orúkọ tèmi lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ni Akíntọ́lá Olúṣọlá. Wàhálà tí mo ti ń kojú lórí iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ lórí oko pẹ̀lú àwọn Fúlàní bòròró yìí ó ti fẹ́ gba ẹ̀mí mi. Because ọ̀kan ṣẹlẹ̀ ní 2015 December time mo wà lórí oko àwọn afẹ́ sí ìgbàdo ẹlẹ́yin fẹ́ jẹ kòkòrò mo ní kàn jẹ́ ká oko tán. Immediately ta kó lóko ìgbàdo ta ṣẹ̀ sínú àká tó ń lọ bí tọ́n méjì tọ́n mẹ́wàá tọ́n méjì ìgbà tó máa di àárọ̀ ọjọ́ kejì tá a débẹ̀ padà wọ́n ti finá sí gbogbo ìgbàdo yẹn tó ti jóná even gan fọ́tò ẹ̀ wà lọ́wọ́ mi àwọn àpẹẹrẹ ẹ̀ wà lọ́wọ́ mi.
What he's saying is, I think he's picking. He wants to pick it as a climax.
Okay.
The first was the plunder or the setting ablaze of his affairs. And one of those days, they approached him that after the affairs they left over, they want to graze upon it. And he said, okay, no problem. After I finish my affairs, you can graze upon. Now he stored the affairs in a barn, and they came overnight and set the barn on fire. And that's a huge loss to him. That's just on the farm economic side. He was also attacked on his farm. So ever
2018 October 15 mo wà lórí oko à ń tu pákí adẹ̀kó mọ́tò lọ tí mọ́tò pọ̀ àwọn mọ́tò yẹn tu pákí wálé àtù yẹn tán dé stage kan mọ́tò lè kó pákí tó kù mo wá dúró lóko pé kí mọ́tò mi padà wá kó èyí tó kù bó ṣe wà lóko tó dìrọ̀lẹ́ bíi 4:30 báwọn Fúlàní ṣe da màálù dé nìyẹn ẹ má dé àárín oko mẹ́yẹn pákí kún bẹ́ẹ̀ tá a fẹ́ ṣe tá a fẹ́ kó lọ mọ́tò ni mo ń dóde wọ́n ní kò sí ohun tọ́jọ́ pé àwọn jẹ pákí yẹn báwo lè ṣe fẹ́ jẹ pákí èmi nìkan náà ló dẹ̀kun lóko ẹ má jẹ pákí tí mo wí báyìí wọ́n fadà yọ ni èmi nìkan tí mo wà ń bẹ̀ ìgbà tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣámi lẹ́yìn àdá ṣámi nídà but Ọlọ́run ṣá gba gbogbo ògo gbà wọ́n rí i pé ẹ̀mí mi ò bọ́ so wọ́n wá lọ yọ sẹ̀ńdá pẹ̀lú kí wọ́n fi lá orí mi so that ìgbà tí wọ́n rí padà yín ọ̀ràn pé sẹ̀ńdá yẹn tó bá ti bá mi lórí pé màá lè give up but gbogbo wọ́n ṣe ń try láti fi nà mí lórí ọwọ́ yìí tí mo fi guide sẹ̀ńdá yẹn báyìí ọwọ́ yìí kan ni so mo rọ̀ọ̀chì wálé lọ́jọ́ yẹn ìgbà tí máa délé ní station mo lọ report wọ́n ní kí n kọ́kọ́ lọ treat ara mi. The following day àrígbésẹ̀ kan so mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí competition lọ sí ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn ọlọ́pàá.
What he has just narrated is that he was harvesting as usual, and these herds of cattle approached and asked to feed upon his farm. And he said, okay, you can feed upon those places I've harvested. He was harvesting cassava. He said he brought about 5 trucks to take the cassava harvest home. So some of the truckers have left. So he was the only one remaining in the farm. So they requested to feed on the remaining part that has not been harvested. He said no, they should feed on the part that has been harvested. They refused, and they started grazing upon the part that they have uprooted. They've uprooted the cassava, but they've not, load the cassava into the truck. So he was a little bit resistant that, no, don't feed on my cassavas, and they attacked him. So he was macheted. He was brutalized, and by the virtue of his, let's say, providence, his life was spared. And then when they noticed that he was not giving up the ghost, they started using this special stick which they use as cattle rearers. They started using the stick on him, trying to hit him on the skull, so as to congeal him to death, and he was using his hand to block. That same hand was totally crushed. So it takes the intervention of God for that hand to still be useful for him today. And he reported this case to the police, even up to the, I think, area commander. And the long and short has been that it dragged on and on. There was no justice served till today. He knew the person that orchestrated the attack on him. I think if you ask him the name of the person, he knew the person. He knew who the herders belonged to, the cattle belonged to. And so he was able to pinpoint and say, this is the person that attacked me on the farm. And just for the police to pick him up, they could not. That is how powerful the Fulani have grown.
All right.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo is live.
Seriki Fulani, you heard that. What do you have to say?
No money,
He said he doesn't know anything.
Only Aborode Fulani.
He said they complained about Bororo Fulani or Fulani Bororo.
What's the difference between Fulani and Bororo?
What when you have to learn Fulani team and Fulani Bororo?
Ìyàtọ̀ tó wà ńbẹ̀ ni pé nílẹ̀ Káàárọ̀ Oòjíire yìí ni wọ́n bí àwa sí. Àwọn Abororo wọ́n wá láti north.
He said the difference is that their own Fulani is as good as part of Yoruba because they were bred and brought up here.
Okay.
While Fulani Bororo
Our Fulani táwọn bá pé níbo la ti wá Ìlọrin
why they
láti wá.
are here with us in Yoruba land, the Fulani Bororo are just like me.
But once they are in Igangan, he is their leader, right?
Láwọn tó bá jẹ́ bíi tó súnmọ́ mi.
He said those that are close to him, when they arrive and they close to him as a Fulani leader, and a few of them that are close to him among them.
Ní Gàgàgà wọ́n fi wọ́n jẹ Seriki Bororo.
He said at Igangan they have their own Seriki. This Bororo they are complaining about have their own Seriki.
But he is the overall Seriki.
When they're in the Seriki,
so he controls everything.
When they're in the
And I learned you have connections in Abuja, so no police can arrest you.
There is nobody that police cannot arrest if he contravenes the law.
But from the information we are getting now, it seems it's Amotekun that is dealing with them.
When you get go, pé àwọn Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn ni wọ́n dì pẹ̀lú yín lọ́wọ́ báyìí, káwọn ọlọ́pàá ò lè dì pẹ̀lú yín.
Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ yọjú wá ni. Èmi gan ò tí ì mọ ẹnìkankan nínú wọn.
He said Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn just came. So he doesn't know any of the Àmọ̀tẹ́kùns.
So Amotekun killed 3 Fulanis this morning. And arrested women and children. Fulanis were arrested. Were there attempts to arrest you too?
Lónìí wọn nígbà tí mò ń bọ̀ ilé ò tí ì má tán dáadáa mo bá wọn ní òpìkì bóyá wọn ló de àwọn bóyá wọn àmọ̀ pé mi ń bọ̀ nígbà ó jẹ́ pé nínú ọkọ̀ lè mi wà mo sì.
So he met them on the road, but there was no interaction. Okay, let me turn to the DG, Development Agenda for Western Nigeria, Dawn Commission. Amotekun is already at work. You can hear from him. He said Amotekun killed about 3 Fulanis this morning. Is that how to go about it?
Well, let me make this clear that Amotekun was conceptualized from Dawn Commission, and the governors of the 6 southwest states agreed with the concept and agreed to set up Amotekun, or Western Nigeria Security Network, which is now being operated on state-by-state basis. So we don't have direct control, but we still have a say, and we follow the operations. All I can say is that I have been in touch with the commander of the Amotekun in Oyo State, Colonel Oyeleye. That's the commander, as opposed to the chairman, General Togun. And in my conversation with Colonel Oyeleye, he said I should be a bit circumspect in everything I read in the press. He is of the opinion that, and I'm saying this guardedly, he is of the opinion that some have an agenda against Amotekun in Oyo State. And what we have been seeing is probably agenda-driven, pouring out negative stories about Amotekun. Now, Oyo State has its peculiarity. We have to understand that. Insurgents or terrorists, anything, can come in from neighboring countries through Okeogun. So the Oyo State Amotekun, the challenges they will face is different from what the Ogun State or Lagos State Amotekun will face. So one thing I would want us to not do is to start saying, how come it's only in Oyo State we're having these major issues? But thankfully, the governor, His Excellency Governor Seye Makinde, said yesterday that abuse will not be tolerated. We have our code of conduct that was circulated and sent to all the states Amotekun. And Mr. Governor here has said they will carry out thorough investigation to know if there are abuses. I mean, don't forget that it's a new outfit that will have teething problems. It will have teething problems. But one thing we advocated and we pushed to all the states Amotekun is that whoever is engaged as an Amotekun officer must have what we call the Omoluabi values, values that we call Omoluabi in Yoruba land. So we will be circumspect at the moment in condemning that, they've killed. How are we sure? I'm not saying that's not the truth. How are we sure that Amotekun officers actually killed?
Seriki, how are you sure that Amotekun officers killed Fulanis this morning? Where did you get that story from? Did you see it?
Báwo lẹ ṣe mọ̀, báwo ṣe dá yín lójú pé lóòótọ́ àti lódodo Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn ló pa àwọn tẹ́ sọ pé wọ́n pa yìí? Báwo ṣe mọ̀ pé Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn làwọn tó pa?
Nínú ẹni tó kú yìí, nínú ẹnìkan tó kú, òun ló ti ń pè mí pé àwọn Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn ti dé ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn, wọ́n ti finá sílé o lóríṣiríṣi. Láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà ni wọ́n ní wọ́n yìnbọn sí ẹnìkan nínú àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀. Wọ́n wá gbé ẹni yẹn, wọ́n gbé sórí mọ́ṣíìnì, wọ́n fi sí àárín, wọ́n ń bọ̀ wá láti pé kí wọ́n wá gbé wá sí, mo ń bá sọ fún wọn pé kí wọ́n wá fi hàn àwọn ọlọ́pàá. So bí wọ́n ṣe múùfù pé kí wọ́n máa bọ̀ wá, àwọn Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn yìnbọn sí wọn. Lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ lẹ́nìkan pè mí látọ̀hún.
Okay. One of these people that were killed called him and told him that Amatekun were at their gar and they have put fire on their this shed.
Okay.
And one of his children was shot by Amatekun. And he instructed that person to carry that child to police station first before going to the hospital. As they put that son with gun wound on the bike and they were about to move, that person was also gunned down. And another person now called him to tell him that so person has been gunned down as well.
Okay, the story is unraveling. Alh Saliu, just watch out. I might come and visit you in Igangan and walk into the Fulani community. We want to solve the problems there. I hope he's ready for peace.
He
said we'll be happy.
Irú àwọn tó bá tó jẹ́ onímọ̀ràn rẹ̀ tàbí bákan kó tún bá wọn wá inú mi dùn sí mo ṣetán láti gbà wọ́n lálejò láti fi gbogbo nǹkan hàn wọ́n láti fi gbogbo irú àwọn Fúlàní tí wọ́n ti jí gbé wọ́n á máa gbọ́ lẹ́nu ẹlòmíì yàtọ̀ sí ẹnu tí èsì ẹnu irú àwọn Fúlàní tí wọ́n jí gbé tí wọ́n pa wọ́n á máa gbọ́ lẹ́nu ẹlòmíì tí èsì ní eré àgàgà nìkan yàtọ̀ sí kápẹ́bòmí.
He said we'll be happy to
have you around so that
you can hear from Fulani that have been kidnapped.
Èyí tí akọ̀wé àgbẹ̀ ń sọ tó ń purọ́ tí ká bá sọ fún pé ọ̀yà kọ́ máa dákọ̀ àwọn tí wọ́n pa tí ń pé iye èèyàn báyìí ni wọ́n ti pa kọ́ máa wá dákọ̀ tí ò lè dákọ̀ ẹ̀yọ kan àwa sì lè dákọ̀ lágbájá báyìí wọ́n pa á fi báyìí lágbájá làǹdó báyìí wọ́n pa á mi báyìí táwa lè máa tí àwọn mọ̀lẹ́bí wọn gan tí wọ́n yọjú tí wọ́n máa sọ̀rọ̀ fún wọn.
We'll be happy to have you around so that you can see yourself all the allegations made by Akọ̀wé, whether you can justify those allegations. And when you come around, we hear from others. They will names, those that have been killed, those that are kidnapped. We hear from Fulanis as well.
Alh Saliu Abdulkabir, thank you for featuring on State Affairs. I'm happy you came.
Thank you.